Hey, I'm Dan Beaudoin, originally from Guelph, Ontario. Been in Brantford since about 95 now. I'm the lead singer for Prior Convictions, contributing singer for The Questionable Gentleman, and I co-run Lockdown Records with my partner, Dwayne Timbers. What got me into punk and oi? That would have been a switch of high schools. In 10th grade, I switched from Brantford Collegiate to North Park. And when I got there, the kids that I was hanging around with, they were different. They they had colored hair and mohawks and spikes, and they wrote on their clothing, and they had political slogans, and they were organizing their own gigs, and that was nothing I'd been around before. So I just all over it, gravitated to it immediately. And then, like a week later, I was the most hardcore guy there. I had all the shirts, I had all the gear, I had always loved the music, but of course we know that's not true. But yeah, it wasn't long after that I got my first opportunity to sing, and the internet was getting bigger at that point, so I had just a huge worldwide resource sitting right in front of me to learn. I didn't have to rely on zines and word of mouth and flyering, and just if I was lucky to pick up a 7 inch from somebody or somebody taped me something. It was a different experience for me, and I considered myself lucky, so I got to get involved right away in a meaningful way as opposed to tiddling around on the fringe for years. So yeah, I'm fortunate in that way, and that was my introduction to punk and oi. Influences, personal influence, my father. All my earliest memories of music come from my father. He played in the church band, he played guitar, and one of my oldest memories is listening to music while driving anywhere and everywhere in the car with my father. And side note, it's something I try to do with my son because it's just, I want him to have that memory also. The sounds I remember hearing was Johnny Cash, Bob Dylan, Steve Earle, that was Woody Guthrie. He was, in his own way, I guess a little punk for his time also, because these are people that I associate as the grandfathers of politicism in music, at least in the mainstream, because these were people who were unapologetically political, and they did it on a mainstream platform with millions of people listening, and they just no fucks. They just didn't care, and even if people had songs that they deemed too controversial, like Chris Christopherson's Sunday Morning Coming Down, Johnny Cash's Never Mind All That Shit, I'll sing it, who fucking cares? And that's punk to me. And that's Johnny Cash has more attitude than half of the people you'll see in punk bands nowadays, who think just, coloring your hair and getting drunk and playing fast makes you punk. It doesn't. It makes you a cunt. So, yeah. As far as my musical influences, Johnny Bunnell from the Swingin' Utters, I would have to place at the top of that, because Johnny incorporates absolutely everything that I love about punk music. He's raw, he's gritty, he has throwback influences of his own in folk music. If you listen to the Filthy Thief and Bastards or any of the later Swingin' Utters stuff, he has his bouts of politicism. But if you've seen me on stage and then you've seen Johnny on stage, I get a lot of my cues from him. He's raw, he's gritty, he's aggressive, he's stomping around, and you're not 100% sure he's not going to come down off the stage and kick the fucking piss out of you, which would be great. The first time I ever met him, he just off stage, and I thought that was the coolest fucking thing ever. He seemed like he was happy to be there, but he was proving a point. Other influences, Mark Sidifries from The Unseen. I loved his speed and his energy and his, I wouldn't say angst, but to me, punk isn't just another genre, it's a subgenre, and it's meant to be a political subgenre. in my opinion. So if you're not angry about the things that you're singing about, then why the fuck are you singing about them? Just, sit down, go join some little baby boy fucking glam band or fucking all that hair metal 80s shit. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, that's my influences. So, first, concerts. Not so much specific names I remember so much as an atmosphere. I remember hearing Celtic music. I remember hearing outlaw country music. I remember my dad playing in the church band. I remember going to the band shell in Guelph. I remember going to outdoor concerts at Gage Park in Hamilton when they used to have those. Yeah, but to remember specifics as opposed to just a feeling, it wasn't. It wasn't there. I don't remember specifics, but I do remember the feeling, and it's still present now. Just changed a weensy bit, a little more aggressive. But as far as first punk shows, first I remember was AFI in the late '90s. Now this was back when they were still East Bay hardcore. It was at the Opera House in Toronto, and the Utters were there, and it blew my mind. The speed and the aggression and just the raw, unencumbered attitude. It was like everything they said and did with their whole body, they were saying, fuck you and fuck this. Like, it was brilliant. Never forget it. And as soon as I heard that sound, it was all over. Oh, favorite gigs. Uh, I'm probably going to highlight the bucket list ones for me. That would be Last Resort, Cockney Rejects, The Strike, um, Stiff Little Fingers, The Addicts. The Addicts was my number one bucket list show. I've been a fan of theirs for longer than I even care to think about, and to just see them on stage and the pageantry of the show and everything that goes into it and just the showmanship, it just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. Um, I've always been more of a fan of the UK stuff, so those are the ones that stick out in my mind. A million North American bands that I love, and I've had great times at their shows, but I would have to highlight those as my absolute favorites. Bands. The very first band I was ever in was probably me in front of a mirror with something I'd fashioned to be a guitar and something I used for a microphone. I think that's a lot of people's first bands, really. From there, my first, like, what you might call a real band was about 17, 18, give or take, and I was in a band called Bad Rubbish. And we did a couple originals, but mostly just played cover songs of what we liked. We played some gigs, had some fun, thought we were awesome. We were probably terrible. Um, from there, I went to the Counterculture Coalition in London. Then it was DWI in London also. Some gigs with these groups, some EPs, nothing major, uh, minor stuff, but still always a lot of fun. It's great to be in a band, whether you're playing in front of 10 people or, 1,000, it's still a good time. You're recording, you're playing songs with your friends, it's good. And then currently I'm in Prior Convictions and having a blast. Things are going well. New music coming out, new videos, lots of gigs. Things are on the up and up. Yeah, cheers. So, the craziest shit ever at shows, I don't think that my experiences are unique to really 1,000 other punks, sex, fights, rock and roll. That's my experience. And there's varying degrees of crazy shit. Like, it's not hooker knife fights in a back alley somewhere, but cops get called on occasion. Shit goes crazy. People fight. People fuck in bathrooms. You fall down. You forget lyrics. You act like an asshole. Wake up in the drunk tank. People are mad at you. You have no idea why. Then you do your little tour of apologies. It's similar to all of us. I don't think I'm unique in this aspect. I think I've experienced, the dates and the faces are different, but I think my experiences are very common amongst people who've been involved in music for, as long as we have. So what do I hate and what do I enjoy? I'm going to start with what I hate because it's a smaller answer. Um, the only thing that I hate about being a musician and being involved in music is competition. I don't like it. There's no need for it. There's no need for a hierarchy. I'm not opposed to shows making sense from a musical perspective, but that's not a comment on, the ranking of said bands and the scheme of who's good and who's not and who's punk and who's not. I don't see a need for it. What I love, um, I love getting to play with the guys that I grew up with and the women that I grew up with. All the people that I get to do gigs with now are the people I went to their shows when I was younger, and to be a peer with those people now is a privilege for me. And what else do I love? It's the same thing that everybody loves about doing it. It's a way of venting frustration or anger or anything that you may feeling. It's the ultimate expulsion of emotion, wherever varying degrees that might be, or what you're going through at the time. I like to record, I like to meet people, I like to go places. It's just the experience of it, and having flyers and recordings that you can put into a box, and when you're older you can look at it and be like, hey, I was awesome for 5 minutes, not just the fat cunt that you see in front of you now. Favorite food? Um, Honestly, I'm not really that picky. I pretty happy with whatever is put in front of me. I like really any combination of meat and potatoes. But I don't know. As I get older, I get fatter, but it's going in like the same like opposite like polarity. It's like the curious case of Benjamin Glutton. I don't know, fat cunt. I like food. What do you want? Whew. So, my most useless talent. What's the thing that I do the best that has no value whatsoever? Oh,